In the vast expanse of human history, few moments have captured our imagination like the day humankind first set foot on the moon. It was a giant leap for humanity, a milestone of human achievement that echoed across the globe. But here's a thought-provoking twist. Could it be that the moon landings, among NASA's most celebrated achievements, are shrouded in mystery? Possibly even a carefully crafted hoax? Conspiracy theories like this have lingered for decades, consistently surviving despite the mountain of evidence that contradicts them. So, what keeps these doubts alive? Join us on an intriguing journey as we unravel the enigma surrounding Apollo 11, sifting through the realms of fact and fiction. We'll dive deep into the fascinating possibility that what we cherish as one of our greatest triumphs might, for some, be the most captivating illusion of all time. Conspiracy theories about the moon landings have been in the air since the day Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. People come up with the idea of a drama that the shadows in the moon landing photos prove the whole thing was a show. Take a close look at the image. If you listen to the conspiracy theorists, they'll tell you that something's fishy with those shadows. Why? Well, they say the shadows aren't parallel, the supposed proof that the moon landings were faked. According to them, if the sun was the only light source up there, those shadows should be nice and parallel, right? So, does this really mean NASA staged the whole shebang in a studio, with multiple lights creating different shadowy patterns? Now, let's hear another persistent moon landing conspiracy theory that revolves around the Van Allen radiation belts, those mysterious zones of charged particles encircling our planet. Basically, Earth is surrounded by these radiation belts, and they're like cosmic danger zones. These belts are like magnetic containers that trap high-energy particles from the sun. If these radiation belts are so dangerous, how on earth did the Apollo astronauts pass through them unscathed? Wouldn't all that radiation have been lethal? These claims were indeed real, and the question had a real standing. Now, another moon landing conspiracy theory that has raised quite a few eyebrows. Take a look at this moon landing photograph. It's a striking image, but it's missing something important: stars. You see, if this picture was indeed snapped on the moon, wouldn't the lunar sky be filled with dazzling stars? After all, there's no pesky atmosphere on the moon to distort the view and no clouds to get in the way. Conspiracy theorists argue that the absence of stars in the Apollo 11 mission photos is a smoking gun. They claim it's proof that the whole event was staged. Their argument goes like this: NASA couldn't replicate the full beauty of the lunar sky, so they decided not to include any stars at all. Moon landing conspiracy theory didn't even leave the iconic image of Buzz Aldrin saluting the American flag on the lunar surface. It's an image that symbolizes U.S. dominance in the space race, especially against their rivals, the Soviet Union. But here's the twist: the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, which means there's no wind. So, why does the American flag appear to be swaying in that famous photograph? Now, the last and most important question of these conspiracies is, if we really did land on the moon back in 1969, why haven't we been back since? It's a question that has puzzled some, leading them to speculate that maybe those historic lunar landings were nothing more than elaborate hoaxes. After all, Apollo 17, the last mission that saw astronauts set foot on the moon, took place in 1972. Since then, America has never returned to our closest celestial neighbor. Now, before answering whether all these conspiracies have some real effect or are debunked, first we need to focus on what came up after the death of Neil Armstrong. If there's one name that will forever be remembered in the history of space exploration, it's Neil Armstrong. His small steps on the moon left an indelible mark on humanity. But the journey to that iconic moment was filled with secrets and challenges that most people didn't fully grasp at the time. This remarkable journey to the moon was filled with suspense and challenges, but it didn't end there. During their moonwalk, Armstrong and Aldrin reported sightings of what they believed to be alien spaceships. Rumors suggested they sent coded messages to NASA about these sightings, but there's no concrete evidence to support these claims. Other astronauts on subsequent moon missions also reported unusual sightings. Some even claimed to see objects that appeared out of place on the moon's surface, like satellite dish-shaped objects. One intriguing conspiracy theory suggests that during the Apollo 17 or Apollo 20 missions, astronauts recovered an alien sample, including the body of a female alien with dreadlocks. However, these claims remain unverified, and NASA has never officially commented on them. The samples collected by Armstrong and Aldrin also did not contain any evidence of alien life. Despite the mysteries and rumors, the fact remains that Neil Armstrong and his partner spent valuable time on the moon's surface, conducting experiments, taking photographs, and collecting samples as part of their mission. In addition to their scientific tasks, the astronauts left a plaque on the moon's surface with a message of peace for all mankind. Their mission was constrained by time due to concerns about the durability of their spacesuits in extreme lunar temperatures, reaching up to 260 degrees Fahrenheit. They collected around 50 pounds of rock samples, planted the United States flag, and faced questions about the flag's apparent movement. While there have been rumors of Neil Armstrong withholding information about aliens, no concrete evidence supports these claims. However, a different secret emerged after Armstrong's passing. His wife, Carol Armstrong, discovered a hidden storage bag filled with artifacts and items from the Apollo spacecraft. The bag contained items closely associated with Armstrong during the mission, sparking curiosity about why he kept it hidden for over 4 decades. Now, coming back to the conspiracy theories doubting the Apollo 11 mission, here's what actually happened. Those shadows in the first picture not being parallel aren't a sign of a hoax at all. It's actually perfectly in line with the way light works in the real world. Think about it. When you're outside on a sunny day, do all the shadows around you look perfectly parallel? No, they don't. The uneven lunar surface, with its craters and hills, can cause shadows to appear at different angles. Talking about the radiation, while the Van Allen radiation belts are indeed intense, NASA had a plan. The spacecraft carrying our brave astronauts had a few layers of protection. Imagine it as having a well-fortified shield. This shield helped block out a significant amount of that harmful radiation. But here's the kicker. The astronauts didn't spend all that much time in the Van Allen belts. They zipped through them rather quickly, minimizing their exposure. It's a bit like driving through a storm as fast as you can instead of hanging around. So, the short trip through the belts, combined with NASA's protective measures, meant the astronauts were at a relatively low risk of harm. So why couldn't we see any stars in that picture? The lunar surface is incredibly bright because it reflects sunlight directly, and the astronauts were wearing shiny white spacesuits. In such bright conditions, capturing the faint light of distant stars would have been a monumental photographic challenge. How could that flag wave if there's no air? Well, it's a bit more down to earth than you might think. You see, the flag wasn't exactly waving in the breeze because there's no breeze to begin with. Instead, it looks like it's waving due to how it was set up. When Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong planted the flagpole into the lunar soil, they rotated it back and forth to make sure it went deep enough. This action caused the flag to ripple briefly, and since there's no air resistance on the moon, the motion didn't dampen quickly like it would on Earth. Why didn't America go to the moon again in all these years? Apollo 17 wasn't indeed to be the end of our lunar exploration journey. In fact, during the 1970s, there were grand plans to establish a permanent lunar base, laying the groundwork for further space exploration endeavors like the much-discussed mission to Mars. What could have been the possible reason for Neil Armstrong to hide such information for 4 decades? And why has no one released an official statement about it? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to interact with this video by liking and sharing. Make sure to subscribe so that you know what's happening in space first. Till the next video, stay safe.